Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today was love at first bite when he bit into a hot chicken sandwich back in LA in 2016. Now he's bringing the heat and definitely bringing the jams to Winter Park in Central Florida. Please welcome the owner and the chef, I guess, of Jam Hot Chicken, Andrew Scala. What's going on, man? How you been?
How we doing, Anthony? Good, man. Appreciate you having me on here.
No, man, I appreciate you taking the time in between prep work and all that stuff, and I appreciate you taking taking my lunch break with me. What first question always, what's your go-to sandwich or lunch?
For Jam Hot, like related stuff,
No,
or
just in general. Like, what is Andrew Scala's like go-to? I mean, obviously, you can give me a Jam Hot chicken lunch, but what would be like what's your go-to usually?
Oh man, my go-to, like just off the top of my head, is like a scrambled egg sandwich.
Okay.
So scrambling eggs, probably slapping some cream cheese on it. That's probably my quickest thing that I probably eat. I would say 3 days a week at least.
Okay. Nice. Okay, now Jam Hot, if someone's coming to Jam Hot, and we'll talk obviously more about it, but if someone's coming to Jam Hot first time, walking up to the window, what are you recommending as like the first time eater at Jam Hot?
So it's got to be the Sando, I guess. But my favorite thing right now and that I'm eating is just a hot breast on top of the sliced white bread, a cup of pickles, a little cheddar bob, a little slaw, and I'm just fork and knife in the whole thing. That's kind of like my thing right now.
What do you call that? Because that's like kind of like a traditional hot chicken. So what do you call that?
So that's on our menu. That's just the breast. So that's kind of like a super item. So that was kind of like, just like you said, kind of like our take on the traditional hot chicken dish, where it's, the hot chicken, whatever, whether it's the wing, whether it's whatever breast on top of the bread, the rest. So
yeah,
made to that.
No, I get it, man. I get it. So I mentioned it was one sandwich, one bite, and that's kind of what led to Jam Hot kind of going. I want you to tell me a little bit more about that whole Howling Ray LA experience where you took the bite and it kind of led to that journey of you now opening a shop. It's kind of amazing that one bite kind of took you to that next step. So give people a little bit of a rundown. Obviously I gave them a taste, but now I want you to give them that big old sandwich style intro information about how you did it.
Yeah. Oh my God, Howling Rays. I actually have that whole experience. Not the whole experience. I have like the lead up, like almost that whole experience on camera. Actually, I was just so excited. So that was a trip to LA to just see my brother at the time who was living there, and he had been eating Howling Rays and was telling me about it. And I had never even really heard of Nashville hot chicken, Howling Rays, nothing. So this was my first experience. And just everything from like the line, the just build up to the energy and the atmosphere of Howling Rays, like the place itself, was just like unlike anything I've ever like seen. It was like uncomfortable and like a sense where it was like intimidating to be in there because it was just ping pong, so loud, but like customer service was just through the roof, and like no one was having a bad time, even though people were waiting 2 hours. So it was like, holy crap, like this is a really cool experience. And then the food came and it was just like, I had never had like fried chicken like that. Like, so that was just like an unreal experience. And I just never forgot about it. And it kind of just stuck with me, and now we're here.
Yeah. I think I'm really happy to hear the fact of there's nothing worse than having the buildup and then the food does not go, equal to the buildup. So the fact that you actually had that build up and it actually like met it or surpassed it when you took a bite of the sandwich. I think that's kind of like a huge, definitely a bonus. And I could see that sticking with you. What I think is interesting about your story, because obviously you've been doing stuff in the kitchen. I know, like, kind of like that experience happened in 2016. You obviously had, from what I've read and from what I've know about you, is that you were doing a lot of, kitchen work and working in the kitchen. Obviously COVID kind of led to some of this kind of being like, hey, it was in the back of your mind. And some of the things that I really appreciate or really loved about your story was the fact that you kind of I kind of sometimes tell people, like, when you have, like, when something's a little bit too big, you kind of have to take small bites. And that's kind of what I almost feel like how you did it. Like, you basically first went with, like, hey, I'm making this for my friends and family, and then you started, like, I'm gonna post it on Instagram. Basically on the DMs, you kind of went that route. Then you started doing pop-ups. So, like, you kind of, like, little by little built up to the point where you finally got this, like, opportunity to open Jam Hot in Hannibal Square in Winter Park area. I mean, I think that's pretty amazing. That's an amazing aspect. How long did it take you? Because obviously you tried it and you ate it. But how long did it take you to figure out or kind of get your own version of how you wanted to do the hot chicken? Because obviously the Howling Rays may do it a little bit differently than what they do it in Nashville. It's probably the same
Yeah.
world, but it's a little bit different. So how long did it take you to get there to develop that, your signature kind of, like, this is how Jam Hot Chicken's going to be?
Well, first, thank you, because I admire you and your brand and kind of your story too,
Thanks.
and so that means a lot, and you've been doing it for a long time. So, but yeah, so from like that point, 2016, 17, it was just kind of like a thing that we just took back, cooked for friends and family. And then, not till I was working at Pizza Bruno in 2019. October 2019 was like our very first like Jam Hot Chicken pop up. And like right before that, I had filed for an LLC, like those kind of things, but with no real intention, no real plan of anything other than that. It was just like, oh, like this is how you kind of start a business, right? So I just like took that step, but had no real like true vision of anything at that point. Nothing. So we did that pop up 2019. It went well, whatever. Didn't, put it on the back burner. 2020 rolls in. I'm still working at Pizza Bruno, kind of just, whatever. Jam Hot still just like on Instagram, a place where we could post photos of like food that we cooked, right? So it was still nothing. And then once the pandemic hit, that was when it was like, okay, like let's, like, I saw something on Instagram, people doing curbside like
Yeah.
pickups, like California or something. I forgot like what they were serving, but it just kind of inspired me to like, oh, maybe we could just do that. Like, let's just like run the Sando, hot chicken Sando. So that's kind of what we did. So we did like little pandemic curbside deliveries from the house. We did like 4 or 5 of those, all time slotted, all through Instagram. Those went really well. And then it was like, okay, this is it. Like, let's take this full time. And then we just started doing pop-ups around town at different breweries, bars for a whole year. And then that rolled into, hey, like, let's take a huge risk, ask the bank for a lot of money, and sign a lease. So we kind of it really all just like snowballed, right? It was just it kind of like you said, it just started really from the ground, and you start doing things, you start thinking differently, you start asking different questions, different people come into your life, different situations, which create new energy, new ideas, new goals. So it just really grew, organically, and just through passion and family and love. And so it's really a passion project, but it's just something that I could have never like imagined to be in Hannibal Square and doing it in a space like this.
Yes, definitely amazing. And it's funny because you said, like, the family, and one of the things I found very interesting, the idea of, like, jam, the idea of the name Jam Hot. I know, one, you guys are all into music. I know it's like the name of, is it you and you two other brothers, right? Is
Yeah,
what kind of the acronym or the initials of all of you guys?
exactly. So Justin, Andrew, and Michael, and then like it kind of the acronym and like the word and like the play on the word, like jam in a music tense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our metaphor with it. And then just like with the branding, it was always about for me just to, really emulate like things that I love and my passion and who I am as a person. So it's music, it's hip hop, it's pop culture, nostalgia, some locality stuff.
Yeah.
Also all that weaved in with Hot Chicken and love. So
No, man, I think it's amazing. Let's talk a little. I want to talk a little bit of sandwich talk now. Few things. What do you consider is the key, I guess, for you a good spice level? Because obviously, I know you got 5 levels for your sandwiches. So, like, can you give me a little bit of an idea of like what are the keys to like a good spice level for a sandwich, especially when you're making a hot chicken sandwich?
yeah, I'm gonna so I'll take it back to my experience at Howling Ray's.
Yeah.
When I went there, I had their sandwich, and we had like wings and some other bites. And like for me, I think like I think that threshold where it's so hot and like as in a temperature wise, like the chicken itself, the flavor, the seasoning, where it's giving you like maybe that hiccup, but also not so much where you can't take a second bite, where it's like it's so hot where you don't want to put it down, you kind of want to keep going and like finish it. It's so good you kind of can't put it down kind of feel. So
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I kind of think like that habanero hot is
Okay.
like where you're gonna probably ride that wave, and if you go beyond that, then depending on who you are, it could just be like, holy crap, I can't finish it. But like that was the experience I had at Howling Ray's, was like, this is so hot, but it's so damn good. I can't put it down because it's so good, but also because it's so hot.
And you have, I think from what I recall, it's your sandwich is similar to kind of Howling Rays in the sense that you put like a vinegar slaw and things like that in a sauce to go with it. So so some of that kind of the acidity kind of balances off the heat, so it kind of almost masks it, cools it in a way. So it kind of takes you on like a journey type of thing as you're eating it. Not to mention it's freaking massive because you use chicken breast versus chicken thighs. So it's like a massive like I kind of don't want you don't put it down. Like it's one of those sandwiches you don't put down because like even though you wrap it, I feel like it's like I'm like I don't want I'm not letting this thing crumble on me. I'm like I'm gonna hold it. So you like literally one hander, try to like
Yeah,
do everything else with like your drink and your fries type of thing. But at the same time, you kind of need to drink because it's like if you got some heat, depending if you get the wrong level,
yeah,
that's how you kind of the battle you have to have when you're the little dance, the little food lunch dance that you have when you're as you're eating it.
100%. That's part of the experience, right? That's
Yeah.
like that like we want to give, and we love like seeing that. We love seeing people like first thing they do, when they pick it up and they're just kind of like this and they're figuring out, the song and dance, whether
Yep.
it's like put it down, oh fry, oh drink, oh it's so good, oh phone. So it's like all those things are, awesome to see. And again, the chicken, like you said, we use a boneless breast from Bell and Evans. It's a 6 ounce, 7 ounce breast, and we hand tenderize every breast. So and that kind of it's going to elongate them, make them crazy, make them fun. So that's a big thing, for us too. So we love seeing that.
What's two of them? What do you think is the balance between too much heat and flavor? Because I know you don't. I know you like it. You like hot, but you're like me. You like hot, but you want to taste it. I don't want to cry and not enjoy it. So like and I think you're like a jam. I think is what I heard, or you're a hot. You're just
I'm a hot guy. I'm a hot
hot.
guy.
So it's and then just to kind of reiterate, if you were to have the food, if you were to have a sandwich and you were your heat, you to give people the five levels of jam hot.
So I would say like, and that was like probably one of the biggest things for me, because I ate a lot of hot chicken in the last whatever 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
Some not so good, some very good. And the biggest thing for me was a lot of it was just flavorless, and it was just kind of like, oh, cayenne and like whatever chili powder that they threw on it. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me was just to make sure that the chicken itself, like off the rip, tasted good. So like our plain fried chicken, like had to taste like delicious, right? Had to make you think of whatever your Publix fried chicken or whatever your favorite fried chicken. Like I wanted that to like really kind of like make you think for a second. So that was huge for me. So we do a lot to ensure that, whether it's with our like tenderizing process or the things in our hot dip in our shake mix, those little things. So, and then with the heat, like the heat for me should just be like an add-on, right? It should just kind of be like, oh my God, there's a little something on the back end there. So it starts like with like the flavor and like what it tastes like, and then comes your heat. That was kind of how I always
Yeah.
approached it. So
No, that makes sense. And I think you guys do like 24 hours. Is that right? Like you guys do a 24-hour process with the
yep,
chicken. So that
yep.
chicken's definitely getting that seasoning, which is super important. What would you say is your secret? This is, I always like to ask like sandwich people, obviously I'm a sandwich guy, but I love hearing tips for like an at-home person making a sandwich, especially like when you say, I love the fact you put cream cheese on your egg sandwich because that's something I do as well. But what's a secret to making a good sandwich at home?
You got to have the right bread, right? It's so easy to like not have the right bread. And you could also, not have the right bread, but, doctor it up a little bit. So toast your bread a little bit, you guys. Toast it on both sides a little bit. And people, mayo. Give it a little slather of mayo. A BLT, a little slather of mayo. Just a little creaminess. So, a lot of people, they don't use the right, bread, or they're not going to toast it, or they're just, scared of adding something on it. But you want a nice, toasty bun. You want a little creaminess. You want some texture. So I say just, make sure you're toasting your buns.
I like it. I like toast on buns. I like that. Um, so you've been in business you've been in business longer, but you've been in a brick and mortar location now for over a year. So congratulations on that. Um, what has been the best parts and probably the most challenging parts of having your spot? Now, the other big thing is you have an amazing spot. So and we'll kind of talk more about it, especially, but the amazing part is, and I'm kind of curious on what you're going to say, some of your challenging, because I know it's only 465 square feet or something like that, which is like
Yeah.
almost like obviously a little bit bigger than a food truck, but it's still pretty small when you have a few people and your guys are whipping out lots of sandwiches and chicken coming out. So what's some of the best parts and some of the most challenging parts about running a brick and mortar location?
And it's actually smaller than 465 square feet. That's like with the bathroom and like, so in reality, we're probably cooking in like 250 square feet, but
Wow.
people do it in smaller and less. That's like the
Correct.
thing that I tell myself, right? But yeah, oh my gosh, so many challenges, so many roadblocks, so many things that you thought were that weren't. All the way from the beginning into today into tomorrow, right? So it's starts with always needed more money. Some things, you got to double check, triple check things, from the simple measurements to like the construction phase, right? And I was a big part of that. And that was a challenge. You're learning about inspections, you're learning about, just things that you can and can't do. So that was, like the start of it. And that, like that is a discouraging phase, like just doing all that stuff and, talking to people that have been in business for, years and years and years. And, you have to kind of come in here not knowing, so much about like this process. So it's intimidating. It was, very challenging during that phase. And then, once we finally got here, I think the biggest thing, is the space itself and just how tiny it is. And we, are, doing a good amount of chicken in here, and it's kind of at a point where like we're kind of hitting our threshold with like really what we can do in here in a timely manner, and all that stuff. And then so that also plays with your storage. So we're, rotating things daily just to make room for the next day. I'm taking things home. So like those things don't stop. Like those things aren't easy. It doesn't become easier when you get into a space. People think,
Yeah.
like if you're at a pop-up like space or doing something in a smaller scale, it gets easier. I mean, certain aspects, like sure, but everything just kind of gets like amplified that you were dealing with. Everything gets amplified once you get into, a brick and mortar. So storage and, spacing has been a huge thing. We're dealing with it. We have a good system, and that's important, is like installing systems and like, okay, like what doesn't work, let's move on. What works, this is it. Like we initially had plans, or like my whole thing was to like have at least, a limited amount of people to be able to come inside and eat and experience it like that way. That was like a huge thing for me. But as soon as we opened and got rolling, no way. And so that was something that you just have to, adapt and accept and like change kind of the model, right? So like then that changed the whole model with how we're delivering the food. Because we don't have, the best kind of way to interact with our guests. We only have one shot at the window. So that's a bummer for, me and kind of for our team, because we love to, interact and kind of see people's reactions and stuff. So the space is, it's great. Because again, like this is my first thing. So I also didn't want to bite off too much that I couldn't chew. So being in a 465 square feet building was a good start, for me. So I can't complain.
Yeah. Well, now you gave me some of the challenges. Give me some of the best parts.
Oh man, some of the best parts is just, it's like the simple cliche answer. It's like just we're cooking hot chicken and listening to, Snoop Dogg and seeing people's, tears of joy. That's like the easiest, like best like thing about this, right?
Yeah.
Is that this was, like we talked about, just a concept, just something from nothing, and
Yeah.
now we're doing it, and just being a part of the community that I grew up in, and serving food to it is, really fulfilling and rewarding for me. So I would have to say that's probably the best thing about all of this.
I love that. Out of curiosity, based on the fact, obviously the reason you started is because you fell in love with hot chicken. And I know I'm kind of curious if you're going to give me the answer. And I feel like there's some aspects, like I've talked to Kelly, I've talked to, Fat Ash, I've talked to a bunch of different people who obviously started something because they loved it. Because of the fact that you're doing it and you're constantly making it, is there still a love for hot chicken, in the sense of like, you're like, man, I'm still like, if you go somewhere, are you actually, unless you go to Nashville, are you actually getting hot chicken somewhere else? Or, you know what I mean? Like, is it one of those things, or you're like, oh yeah, like I'm away, get me away from chicken, give me some beef or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, do you get to a point sometimes where you're like, enough hot chicken?
I mean, it's like, so sometimes I guess I
Yeah.
can be, there's like two sides of it, right? There's like, yeah, I got into this because like I fell in love with the concept of food. But like I also fell in love with this because I was, in love with cooking and food and eating good food and that whole world. So I feel like it's like that kind of came first, and then comes your, passion for like certain things. But I mean, no, like, do I ever get sick of hot chicken? No. I mean, I try to make every sando or, fry every piece of chicken like better than like the last piece. And like, it's always fun to do like something a little different. And
Yeah.
I play at like wrapping a sando or, boxing up a plate of chicken and just kind of seeing how it looks, and just kind of, it gives me like goosebumps. I don't know. It's like one of those things where I still love it. And if I'm going out to eat, I'm probably not getting hot chicken
Correct.
unless, we're in Nashville or I hear great things, or, you know what? No, that's probably not true. I'm probably getting it to see how it is, no
Because you
matter
want to,
what.
yeah, you want to see how it stacks up then at that point.
100%. So,
Yeah.
will I ever get sick of it? Probably not.
And I could see that. I could see after a point, like I can see that if it's something you love and it's kind of easy. I'm always kind of curious, like, and that's one of the reasons, like, when I ask like Kelly, and I've talked to, Fat Ash, the first thing they said to me was like, hey, like, these are the classics that I love making, but then you can do different variations, and then because of those
Yeah.
variations, it adds an extra. Allows me to continue doing that love of the cooking and the creating and all that stuff, which I think is super important. So competition is great, and obviously, I know that like, how do you feel, or how difficult is it to like differentiate or handle when you're in a market that's like cluck full of different chicken spots?
So I agree. Competition's great, like you said. Um, and not everything has to be competition, right?
Correct.
Can be just, I like this place or I like that place, or it doesn't have to be like, oh, that place is better than that place, or it doesn't have to be so 1v1, kind of like how everyone tries to make it.
Yeah.
So that's always like a bummer to see, like on the internet or whatever. But and the more hot chicken places or the more taco places is better for each place, because it gives something to talk about. It gives people a side to choose, which sure is competition, I guess, in a sense, but it's not what we're trying to make it to be. I think it's just kind of like that thing that gets created, in the cloud somewhere. But
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't think it's a restaurant caused competition. Like I think it's more of obviously the interwebs and
yeah,
the review, the Yelp reviews and all that stuff. Like I think competition is great. Like I think it makes,
I
if
agree.
anything, it makes you kind of be like, hey, I love what these people are doing. I think it almost like sometimes inspires you, and
Yeah,
sometimes kind of also allows. I look at it also as the fact of like, when you're in the restaurant business, competition of knowing, hey, customer service, like it just kind of adds another, amps you up to kind of be like, we should all be at our best. Like we are basically all
I agree.
showcasing hot chicken, and then we think hot chicken's the best other than like the other chickens, sandwiches and stuff like that. So that, I totally agree with that. I kind of look at it that way, especially like even in the t-shirt world. I'm like, I look at it as like everyone's got different versions of how they do it. And which is one of the reasons, like your slaw and all that stuff, like there's certain elements to it, and that I think are different. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about it, is that you can literally eat at three different hot chicken places and have almost like three different iterations and flavors of the same concept, but by each one of you guys have like your own iteration of it, which I think is amazing.
100%. I agree. It's like you said, and people are gonna go to get your shirt because they like your shirt, they
Yeah.
like you, they like your style, your branding. So I always tell people, or I try not to worry about what someone else is doing just because they serve the same cuisine. Like obviously I'm gonna like pay attention and like respect and like like, oh cool, like hey, like that's fun, like that's unique. I would never look at it like, oh damn, like now we got to do that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Yeah.
so 100% though. I agree with you.
What? So I got a few more questions for you. One is, um, I found it interesting because you went. I kind of look at it as everyone loves pizza. It's like I feel like pizza and tacos are like the love child of all handheld foods, and burgers maybe. And so like obviously, I was very happy to see that you went from the pizza side to the Sando sandwich side. And so so that was one of my things. I was like, so do you have a preference, pizza or sandwich?
Ooh, man, I love both. Not
I love
like
all handheld foods, so don't get me wrong.
I just bought a oh my god, I'm forgetting the brand name already. Not the Gosney, the Uni. I
Oh,
just
the
bought a
pizza
Uni
oven.
oven, and we were making dough the other week. I love pizza. I That's still like near and dear to my heart too. But if I had to choose, I don't think I could. It'd be tough. I'd have to say pizza maybe.
So I'm just kind of curious, since you said that, because I'm very intrigued by this. Does that mean there's a possibility? All like when you said that, I was like, oh my god, how has? I'm assuming you've made some hot chicken pizza.
We have. We did at did you try the THC pizza, that Pizza Bruno, a couple years ago?
No, I didn't get a chance to eat it, but I like, that was like one of the things I thought of when I was like researching and I saw that you did pizza. I'm like, he's making hot chicken pizza at his house, and or somewhere
So
to
we
enjoy.
did that one. That was like 2018, maybe like 17, 18. Yeah, 17, 18. That was awesome. So yeah, we definitely have made some. but so now it goes back to this space
Yeah,
challenges. Like
yeah,
we just have fryers in here, so it's like that, and then it plays back into your other question about like, do I get tired of like cooking hot chicken? There's always times where like I just want to like cook other things, like
yeah.
experiment and like, but we are very limited in here, so
Correct.
like,
Yep.
so that sucks. Otherwise, you would see a probably definitely a hot chicken pizza on the menu.
Okay. Okay. And I can see that in the future. It's like this is the starting point. This is the starting point of your journey. So it's like I could see it happening in the future, maybe future location or things like that. I could totally see that. What would be some advice you'd give someone who would want to start something?
Oh, just do it. Just never squander a gift or help from anyone. It's hard to accept like help or like gifts or assistance, whether it's from family, friends, peers, anyone, because I know, for me it's like I always just like want to do it myself, or I don't want to ask for help, or I don't want to seem weak or whatever it is. So, but I like I can attest that there's certain things you just can't do without help, or that assistance, and there's nothing wrong with help, is the best way to say it. So never squander those opportunities from anyone, and don't get too high or too low, because there's going to be bad days, there's going to be good days, and it takes one good day to wipe away 10 bad, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
kind of ride that wave and do what you do, and as long as you have conviction in that, is like the most important thing. Just have conviction in anything that you're trying to do, and you'll be on the right path.
Dude, I love that. I love that. How can people follow and where can they eat some jam hot chicken?
At Jam Hot Chicken on Instagram, Facebook. Jamhotchickenfl.com is our website. You can shoot us an email through there. Check out our menu, our playlist. We have Jam Hot Chicken Volume 3, Jam Hot Chicken Jams Volume 3 dropping very soon. Look out for that. And we are in Winter Park, Hannibal Square to be exact. And we are closed Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesday through Sunday. You can check us out 11 to 5.
Your playlist on Spotify? Where's your playlist available at?
Both, yeah, both Spotify and
Okay.
Apple Music. So if you go on the website and go to the playlist section, you'll see it there.
I'll be checking it out because I was playing around with your noise your jam
Oh
your
my
jam
God.
session. I love that. That was
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
that
You
thing's
guys
insane.
you guys have done some great stuff, man. I truly love what you guys have created. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun because during the course I've had a few people obviously tell me they're like, you need to talk to Andrew, and I was like, I'm going to. I was like,
It's
so
been a
I'm
long time coming for us. I
for
feel like
sure.
we've, like you mentioned, like when we started in the podcast, how, we've, talked a bunch of times,
Yeah.
over media, and just haven't had the chance to truly connect. So no, definitely it's been a long time coming, man. And I admire your, brand and aesthetic so
Thanks,
much.
man.
I've, like we talked about during the 1 year, we were trying to do something together too. So hopefully in the
We'll
future,
definitely do something together in the future. I think your aesthetics and your style is like that. Like, I mean, if that's not a shirt, like all that mural, all your stuff on the background of your stuff,
for
like should just
sure.
literally just be a shirt, that
100%.
people
Let's
would
do
wear
it.
because it is sick. So
We'll
definitely
wrap it in
something.
the checkered paper.
Oh
Oh, I'm
yeah.
already getting ideas,
Yeah,
man.
we can definitely talk about that because I think that would be a fun thing to do that we for you to be able to
That would
have
be
because
cool.
you already have the graphics. You just need to put it on a shirt and let people just rock it and and do
I
all
love
that.
that.
So yeah, we can definitely
Love
talk
that.
more about that for sure. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much to Andrew Scala for being on of Jam Hot Chicken. Definitely thank you for having lunch with me. Obviously, next time we'll have lunch. I'll have a real hot chicken, and we'll be able to kind of maybe
Yes.
have a little
Yes.
conversation of that. Definitely make sure to check them out if you're in Hannibal Square. If you're in the area, definitely go and check it out. It's an awesome place to eat. It's an awesome place to, the food is amazing. I definitely recommend it. If you enjoy the show, definitely make sure to subscribe. If you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Obviously tell your friends. leave stars, leave reviews. If you do go to Jam Hot Chicken, I want to see a selfie with the big ass chicken sando. I definitely want to see that. Make sure to tag them on it. But thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion, everybody.